Come on, bro. There's no way she let you do that with her sister.
Yeah, she did too, man. Super thick. Hey, man, let me hit you back in just a minute. I gotta get this mouse review out.
All right. Later, man.
Later.
Alright, all jokes aside, this is the new Zowie EC3 CW, and this is Zowie's first wireless mouse ever. Zowie sent this out for review. I didn't pay for it, but as always, I'm going to give you my unbiased opinion. I want to start off with the wireless performance because it's pretty interesting, and then we'll get into the rest of the mouse. So Zowie claims that their new massive dongle provides a stronger signal compared to traditional dongles, so I decided to test this and put the new Zowie up versus the Death Adder V3 Pro. I connected them both to USB 3.0, and I left the dongles on the desk right next to each other. Then I loaded up a game and had my wife sit at my PC while on the phone with me. I started walking through my house with both mice in hand, and I would take a big step away and see if both mice were still responding by firing in game. Around step 20, the V3 Pro was starting to become a bit unresponsive and was already starting to disconnect and reconnect. At around the 26th step, the V3 Pro would just stop working and the LED would start flashing, which is what happens when it can't find the dongle. Then I did the same test with the included smaller Zowie dongle, and it stopped working at exactly the same spot as the V3 Pro, which was step 26. But with the bigger dongle, it was still going strong at step 26, and I was able to take it to my driveway where it started to drop and reconnect a bit. I finally took it all the way out to the middle of my street, which was step 55, where it finally dropped signal and it couldn't reconnect at all. Now, obviously this isn't a scientific test, but it does seem like the bigger dongle's signal strength is definitely better than an average sized dongle. Now, when it comes to actual gameplay, when I'm just sitting at my desk, there's no perceivable difference in wireless speed. The V3 Pro feels more responsive overall, mostly because of its lower weight and better PTFE feet, but I'm sure their Focus Pro sensor has some part to play in that as well. Now, if I was in a LAN environment, then there might be some legitimate benefits to the stronger signal. However, the G Pro Superlight is still the most used mouse by pros, and there's a reason for that. I doubt they would be using it if they had wireless interference issues at LAN events, so that begs the question, is this really necessary? Zowie took a really long time to switch over to wireless tech because they wanted to get it right, and I can definitely tell you they got it right. The weight here is 76 grams for the smallest model, the wireless EC2 is 77 grams, and the wireless EC1 is 79. That's heavier than I was hoping it would be, but the balancing is actually great on this mouse, so it doesn't feel too bad. Personally, I aim better on lighter mice, especially after a longer gaming session while on a cloth pad. My arm will start to fatigue a little bit faster on this mouse compared to something like the 49 gram Atlantis Mini. Of course, you can combat this by using a faster pad, and to be honest, I do enjoy the feeling of a heavier mouse on a fast pad like the Super Glide from Pulsar. But seeing as how this is targeted at competitive players, I think it should weigh less so they can train longer without fatigue. This mouse would be insane at 60 grams, and hopefully someday that's going to happen. The shape here is pretty much the same as the wired version, but they did tweak the right side slightly by adding a small ledge to prevent your finger from getting pinched when clicking the right button. That was never an issue for me personally, but I know some people will be relieved to hear they fixed this potentially annoying issue. The coating here is very grippy and it feels extremely premium. However, it does show sweat stains like previous Zowie mice. The build quality is exceptional, and when you combine that nice coating with a solid build quality, it really does feel premium in the hand. It's very well built with no rattling, creaking, or flexing at all. Buttons 1 and 2 feel very good on my copy. They have minimal pre and post travel with a nice soft bottom out. They're easy to spam and they feel and sound satisfying to use. The side buttons are also very premium and high quality. Again, minimal pre and post travel. They aren't quite as easy to spam as the side buttons on the V3 Pro, but overall the quality is similar. I was really hoping they would change the scroll wheel and add something smoother and less hollow feeling, but unfortunately they didn't. It's still a loud, scratchy plastic scroll wheel. It is very defined, so you can swap weapons easily with it in games like Counter-Strike, but it's just not a very nice feeling or sounding scroll wheel to use. On the bottom of the mouse, we still have the old black PTFE feet, which feel on the slower side and controlled. And now instead of having 2 big feet, we have 3 to make room for the new charging port. They also sell different skates on their site separately with different speeds. Personally, I think the mouse could have benefited from faster stock skates since it weighs a bit more, but Zowie likes to lean more towards control with the design of their mice and stock feet. We also have a button that lets you switch over from one dongle to the other. I really don't understand this since they shipped both dongles with the mouse. I don't see why anyone would want to use the inferior dongle dongle when you paid for the bigger one with better signal strength that also has a charging dock built into it. I think this would have made more sense if the bigger dongle was sold separately. The sensor here is a 3370, which a lot of people are going to complain about, but while playing on this mouse, I had zero issues with the feel of the sensor. It's very well implemented, and I wouldn't be concerned about the performance of this sensor at all. Gameplay is buttery smooth and responsive, and I never had a single hiccup in all of my testing. There's only 4 levels of DPI, 400, 800, 1600, and 3200. Also, the liftoff distance and polling rate are adjustable, and the polling rate comes set to 1000 Hz default. The included cable is on the thicker side, but it feels good to play with it plugged in, which won't happen often if you use the built-in charging dock. My cable actually had some rust on it out of the box, but I've had it plugged in the whole time during my testing, and there's been no ill effects from this. But this is definitely not something you want to see when you open your shiny new mouse. I've never seen anything like this before, so I'm not sure what's going on there. Battery life has been great so far. It's really easy to keep this mouse charged up using the built-in dock on the bigger dongle. Just put it on the dock when you aren't using it and it'll keep you juiced up. I really love this feature. It snaps in magnetically and it works very well. I haven't had any issues with the dock not charging or not snapping into place correctly. It's worked perfectly during my testing. So the price of this mouse is $150 US, which is a pretty steep asking price for what you're getting here. Don't get me wrong, I think this is a fantastic mouse, but the pricing seems a little off to me. It would have made more sense if Zowie had lowered the price of this mouse to maybe $110 or $120 and shipped it with just a standard dongle in the box, because that's all the average person is going to need. Then they could sell the bigger dongle separately for people who actually go to LAN events and may potentially have a use for it. Either way, it's hard to justify the $150 price tag on a 76 gram mouse with a 3370 sensor, and it's even worse in Europe at 190 euros. You know, for $150, you're up here next to the Death Adder V3 Pro, which is a far superior mouse technology-wise, and then you have mice out like the Atlantis Mini, which is a 49 gram mouse with a 3395 sensor, a great implementation, and just an absolute killer mouse overall, and that's under $100. So this mouse is definitely a little pricey when you have stuff like the Death Adder V3 Pro out there. That's it for this one. If you found this video helpful, hit that sub button and turn notifications on, and I'll see you in the next one.